Somebody will drain that gas tank. Trust and believe. I am telling the truth. I'm not lying. Why did you just yell that shit out like I'm Joel Osteen up here preaching and shit? Preach. I don't want you just to receive the deck. I want you to receive the message. Yes, you know, and when Jesus said to me, I'm trying, man. Well, well, since we're going that route, I hope Jesus has a sense of humor. I do. Because I go to church and, you know, I ain't perfect, but that's what everybody means. When they say they ain't perfect, it means they're still is what they mean. You know, I'm not perfect myself. I'm a flawed individual. That means you still before you're married. Is basically what that means. You know, that's the only one of the 10 commandments I don't agree with. Wait till you get married, and then have sex. Ain't nobody doing that. And women need to stop acting like one-night stands are a bad thing. They're not. They're great. I've had some amazing one-night stands in my life. Amazing. And when we're done, I don't look at those women like they hoes or thoughts. No. We get done, I'm appreciative. I'll be looking at them. Thank you. Hey, thanks for coming over. I know you're busy. You know, I appreciate you. Appreciate taking time out to come hang out with me for a little bit. That meant a lot to me. Thank you so much. Complete respect. And when they leave, I'm not ordering them an Uber X. No. You get an Uber Black, you with Gary to go home in. Did you ever the dude went home in a Tahoe? Ooh, you feel bad about yourself. You be feeling like, damn, I got that go home in a Tahoe pussy. And you do. Oh yeah, you ain't going home in a RAV4? You don't Gary and go home in a Subaru, you go home in a Tahoe, baby girl. And they got little candies in the little armrest and bottled water waiting on you. You're not gonna be thirsty on the way home, and you'll have fresh breath when you walk in your house. And I know some good dudes in here right now are like, Gary, shut the up. My girl is 20 minutes away. Sorry. Step your game up. Get that Tahoe pussy. And why is it that every woman that makes you wait talks the most about their stuff? Nah, you gotta wait on this good ass pussy. I don't on the first day. This pussy too good to on the first day. Every woman in my life that ever made me wait, pussy was trash. All of them. And I'd be, man, what the you got me waiting on this trash ass pussy for? You knew your pussy was trash. Every time, man. What the you got me waiting on this trash ass pussy for? One night stand girls ain't like that. They know they pussy fire. They wanna show me. Oh, you leaving town tomorrow? I'm gonna make sure you come back. You gonna come back to Dallas, Gary. You remember this. I will. One girl me so good, I started rooting for the Cowboys. God damn. I said, why the am I rooting for these motherfuckers? Because it brought back a good memory. I didn't see Dak Prescott throwing to CD Lamb. That ball was in the air. I was thinking of that good ass pussy I had. That was a crazy night, bro. She went home in a Tahoe, boy. Big body. After the show, we do a meet and greet on the stage. I take pictures and I sell T-shirts. I don't know if you heard, but at one point my ex was trying to get $44,000 a month in alimony. Yeah, I could have finished this wall with all kinds of bricks for that. There'd be no curtains in this bitch. This motherfucker look like a chimney in this motherfucker. I don't know where she got that number from. That's a lot. Because my lawyer was funny. My lawyer called me. She was like, Gary, she's trying to get, what?
Was that your second regret, no
No prenup? Yeah. What was my first regret?
The airplane.
No, that was during the marriage. Prenup would have been before, but no. But appreciate you yelling out at the end of the show. Thanks for sharing that. Oh my God, what the f*** is this crowd? Get your sister. Goddamn. Brought your whole goddamn family here and didn't even sit together. Ain't that something? Goddamn, we got the Talking Thompsons in this mother. Motherfuckers always yelling shit out, man, during the show. I could have waited. I know. I know you do. Believe me. I've got... Huh? But you never went home in a Tahoe. That was a good one. I wish we were recording that. That'd have been a good moment on YouTube. That one up.
Hey, y'all, you listen to the Gary Owen podcast. Hashtag Get Some. Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Gary Owen with the Get Some podcast. You can listen to this on iTunes. Go to, just search Gary Owen, hashtag Get Some, or you can watch it on YouTube. YouTube.com/Gary Owen.com is the YouTube page. Now, last couple weeks, I've been recording, how should I say? Not just my voice, but now you can actually see me. So I finally found a studio where I can have video, because I don't know why people are curious about how I look when I talk. So the studio I'm in is, as you can see, it's a very hip hop based studio. It's in Cincinnati. It's at Timeless R Studio. That's at Timeless R Studio. I want to make sure I give them their just due because they did open the doors for me. So it's TIMELESSRSTUDIO. If you're dyslexic, OIDUSRSSELEMIT at. If you're dyslexic. I got a lot to talk about today. Obviously, the NBA has gone buck wild like it does every couple years when free agency hits. I'm going to get into LeBron and Boogie Cousins, and got to give a white guy a shout out. JJ Redick re-signed with the 76ers. That got lost in the complete shuffle. But before I get started, today as I'm recording this, it's my daughter's 16th birthday. And I'm blessed enough that I was able to get her car for her birthday. Got her a Chevy Equinox. It's actually a cool little SUV, and obviously she's not getting a big SUV. She ain't there. You got to accomplish some things in life before you get a Tahoe or a Suburban. But I think it's perfect for her because it's a safe enough car that it's not a tiny car in case she's hit somebody, but it's big enough that it can withstand. I'd be thinking the worst. Like, she might get in a small wreck. I don't want to make sure she's in the car that's coming out on the winning end if she gets rear-ended. But yeah, 16, it's crazy because whenever you have kids, and I've got 3 kids, but you always go back to the day they were born when a birthday comes. And I remember it was well, my oldest son is my stepson. I never called him step, but I wasn't there when he was born. But my other 2, Austin and Kennedy, their births couldn't have been any different because when Austin was born, we had a Honda Accord and I had an S10 pickup, and we had the Honda Accord packed up. We was ready to go. We was prepared. We had a due date, and then we got rear-ended. But we was going to see a movie. We got rear-ended. My wife was about 8. She was more than 8.5, 8 months and 2 weeks about. Yeah, a little more. So she was ready, but she wasn't, I mean, she hadn't had, her water wasn't broke or anything like that. So we get rear-ended. She says, I don't feel right. So we immediately go to the hospital in my S10 pickup. Now, keep in mind, all the baby stuff is in the Honda Accord. So we go down there. It was a Saturday, probably about 5 o'clock. And his birthday is November 26th. This is November 25th of 2000. So we go down and we go to Cedars-Sinai in Beverly Hills. We check in. They run tests on him. They're like, well, yeah, he might be coming because the jolt of the car that ran into us, I guess it just, messed up our insides a little bit. So I just remember we were sitting there. He wouldn't come out. I fell asleep, woke up the next day. He still hadn't come out. And he was born a little after 10 a.m. And the reason I remember the hour he was born because it was Sunday, November 26, 2000, just in case you guys want to fact check. And I looked up at the TV and the St. Louis Rams were playing the New Orleans Saints. I remember that distinctly about the game that was on in the hospital. So I was like, oh, a football game's on because football comes on at 10 a.m. on the West Coast for you East Coast listeners. And I remember he wouldn't come. The doctor kept coming in. We had this Polish doctor and his hands were like catcher's mitts. They were just big. So he just kept saying, I don't think he's coming. So he said to me and my wife, I'm going to leave the room. I'm going to come back in 15 minutes. If he's not ready to come out, we're going to do a C-section and we're going to have to take him out. And my wife started crying because she didn't want a C-section. She wanted a natural childbirth. And there was a little Asian, his assistant, I don't know what you would call that, or the room nurse or whatever, little Asian lady. I grabbed her and I was like, hey, can you come help us? I go, the doctor said he's coming back in 15 minutes. And if my son isn't ready to come out, he's going to C-section. And my wife doesn't want a C-section. So she goes, okay. And she took a glove and then she put that gel on the glove, just caked it and reached her arm so far up my wife. I don't think I've ever satisfied her like that. It was almost up to her elbow. And she went like this. She reached up, did a quick like half turn, bink. And she looked at me. She goes, he come now. She pulled her arm out. And I ain't lying. At this point, my wife's legs spread eagle in the air. She pulled the baby. He come now. I yell for the doctor, the baby's coming. So the doctor comes running in. And sure enough, my son came out so damn fast. I don't know what the Asian lady did. Whip. She put that gel on. And I think it was her hands were so small. And her arm was so small, she was able to reach up inside my wife, where the doctor was this big Polish dude with catcher's mitts. He couldn't get up, like his hands were just too big. And I don't know what that says about me, actually. But he couldn't get her out, so the little Asian nurse got her out. And so my son came out after being there we probably got there at 5 p.m. on November 25th. He was born a little after 10 a.m. on November 26th, so you're looking at 17 hours. Yeah. 17 hours we were there before he was born. And then, so my son's born and everything's fine. He's healthy. Everything's good. So I go to get him his first bath and I'm recording it. And there's another guy in there and his son's getting a bath. So me and the dude start talking and we're just BSing about nothing, about our kids. It was his first kid. It was my first kid, everything else. And, it was my second kid. It was the first kid I saw born. First kid from my balls. So we're sitting here talking, and then I'm looking at Jet Magazine like a month later, and I see Nia Long in there, and I see the baby, and I see the baby daddy, and I go, oh, shit. That's the guy that was next to me at the hospital his baby was getting a bath. So not knowing, me and Nia Long were right next to each other, and our sons are the same age. She got a boy, I got a boy. Same November 26, 2000. And look it up. And our sons were born in the same hospital in rooms right next to each other around the same time. And me and Nia just got done doing a movie together called Held Up with Jamie Foxx. And the crazy part is I never met her on set because her scenes was different than my scenes. So even though we did a movie together, and when you see the movie, you think we had met each other. We never met because I got to set 2 weeks after the movie started production. She had filmed it 2 weeks. Then she left. Then I left a week before production was done because my part was done being filmed. And she came in the last week to finish up. So even though I was there like 4 weeks, Nia was there 3 weeks to shoot her part, but she was there. She came in before me and left after me. And it's just, I don't know, just a fun fact. Didn't really have anything to do with anything, but I thought it was funny that we shot a movie together, never met. Then we basically had babies together and we had still never met. And the same hospital. Every time I see her son out and she's talking about him, I go, I know when he was born. I know exactly what hospital and I know exactly what time. And then, so my son was a little struggle when he was born. Now my daughter, here's what's crazy. That's how smart my wife is too. So my daughter's birthday is July 3rd, 2002. And my wife woke me up at like 6 a.m. on July 3rd. She goes, I'm having this baby today. And I'm like, huh? And she was 9 months. She was ready to go, but I just thought natural childbirth. So we went to an outdoor mall on Hollywood and Highland, right in the middle of Hollywood Boulevard and Highland Boulevard. And there's the mall there. That's where the Oscars are filmed. And a lot of the award shows were at the Kodak Theater. I think it has a new name now. But she just started walking. Like we got there about 7 after she woke me up and I got a shower and we were prepared. We had the right car this time with the baby stuff. And she just started walking and she wouldn't stop walking. And I remember the Starbucks open and I sat in the Starbucks and they had a little outdoor patio area and she would come by me like every 15, 20 minutes. And I was like, you good? You want to sit down? She goes, nope. I'm just going to keep walking. And she wanted to walk until her water broke, until the baby dropped. She didn't want to sit down because she said, I want the baby born on July 3rd because if I happen to go into labor on July 4th, our doctor's not going to be in. Everybody's going to be at barbecues and I'm going to get some doctor that isn't really the top doctor. I'm going to get somebody just came in on July 4th to work. And I was like, I wouldn't even thought anything like that. But she was just thinking worst case scenario, I go into labor on July 4th and now I got some standby doctor that's not the real doctor. So she wanted our doctor. And so she walked and walked and walked and walked and walked and walked and walked. And then finally she just looked at me. She goes, my water broke. I'm ready. We drive calmly to the hospital. She goes up. The water's already broke. My daughter came out so goddamn fast. It was like she lay back in the bed and whoop. So you got my son, who was the struggle birth, didn't want to come out, was happy staying in her stomach. Even after a car wreck, my son didn't want to come out. My daughter was ready to go, right? Fast forward 16, 17 years later, my son never wants to leave the house, is cool just hanging out in his room, doesn't want to be out and about, is not in the mix. My daughter can't wait to be out. Like she got a car today for her 16. She's ready to drive and hit the streets and run around town, all that stuff. And their personalities fit the way they were born. My son didn't want to come out the stomach. He still don't want to leave the house. Don't want to leave his room. My daughter can't wait to get out. My daughter's been to Haiti, Mexico, every school trip they can do, no matter what it is, she goes on. And she loves going on vacations and trips and traveling. I think she's been to more countries than me. She's only 16. But it's just funny how their childbirths directly reflect the personalities that they are to this day. And another thing about my daughter too, she cried for the first 4 hours and I timed it after she was born, would not stop crying. And I remember thinking, Jesus Christ, what am I about to get into with this girl? And then she stopped crying and I don't think she cried since. I think I've seen her cry twice in my life. Once she got like a gang of bees ganged up on her. We was at a soccer game and like 20 bees just attacked her. And I think it just scared her more than anything because she got stung once. But I remember she just looking at me like, Dad. It was like one of the movies where you thought thousands of bees were going to come and swoop her away. The way she was reaching for me in the bleachers. Dad. Then what was funny was there was all these adults at this soccer game. Not one motherfucker got up. Nobody got up to help her. I'm like, okay, you got a 6-year-old girl with bees attacking her. Ain't nobody trying to help. So I got her out of there, went in the bathroom and cleaned her up. Then she had one little bee sting. I took it out and she was fine. She milked it though. She's like me. She acted like she was disabled, couldn't walk for 3 days, laying in the bed. I got stung by a bee 3 days ago, Dad. Can you bring me some breakfast? I go, it was a bee sting. Let's bring it down a little bit. But yeah, so happy birthday to my daughter Kennedy, 16 years old. And I'm sure, God willing, if I got this podcast in 3-4 years, every birthday, you'll probably hear that same story about her and my son, the differences. Now, we'll go from one end of the spectrum to the next. Now, I'm going to get to LeBron. I'm going to get to the NBA. But another thing, talk about not forgetting where you were, was this past week, Joe Jackson passed away, Michael Jackson's dad. And it's crazy. He died a day after 9 years to the day after Michael Jackson died. And I always said, like, for my parents' generation and even my grandparents' generation, it was always JFK was the one everybody knew where they were when John F. Kennedy got murdered. And I would say Martin Luther King also. Those two I think more than anybody from like the 60s era, 70s, like everybody remembers where they were. If you ask somebody that was around back then, where were you when you found out John F. Kennedy died, or where were you when you found out Martin Luther King died? Everyone could tell you. I think for our generation, it's Michael Jackson. I think if you ask anybody, where were you when you found out Michael Jackson died, everybody can tell you. I remember I was in Nashville, Tennessee. I was getting ready to play a comedy club there. I was in my hotel room, and Farrah Fawcett had just died. So that was on the news, and all of a sudden there was breaking news. Michael Jackson passed away. And even though I'm watching CNN, I still thought it was a joke. I still thought, nah, MJ didn't die. And then when it got confirmed, yeah, he passed away. I remember I called I talked about this in a comedy special a while back. I called my road manager, Brad, who was an uber Michael Jackson fan. I'm talking leather jackets, knew all the dance moves, listens to all his songs. Let me tell you, here's how crazy when Michael Jackson passed away. The week before he passed away, I was in Denver, Colorado, and me and Brad had gotten online and we're figuring out a time to go see him in London at the O2 Arena, because he had like a residency there. He like had it. So we had literally just got online a week before he died to look for tickets, and then we was gonna figure out when we could go see one of his concerts in London. And then he dies the next week, and I called Brad and I said, Brad, turn on CNN. Michael Jackson just died. And he was like, man, Gary, shut the fuck up. Michael Jackson ain't died. I go, turn on, Brad. He just died. Sure enough, all of a sudden, my phone is silent. I was like, Brad, I want to call you back. I said, motherfucker, are you crying? Dude, he was crying like he knew Mike. Like he was there when he recorded Ben and Off the Wall. Like he hung up, and I tried to call him back. He wouldn't answer the phone. Now, I got a show. This is no lie. I got a show at 8 o'clock. I finally went to Brad's room. He was staying right across the hall from me at this hotel. I remember the hotel. It was the Aloft Hotel in Nashville, Tennessee. So I go across the hall to knock on Brad's door. Brad answers the door in a Michael Jackson t-shirt. I was like, and it was bedazzled. I was like, did you make that? He's, nah, I just had it. But I was thinking, for my first thought was, are you traveling with glitter and glue in your bag? Like, did you make it and then blew the glitter on the glue to make sure the shirt was straight? And this is how people capitalize on tragedies so fast. So he dies. I do my show that night. We go out to that area in Nashville where all the bars are. And we walk around. I never seen so many street vendors with Michael Jackson t-shirts. Rest in peace, MJ. They had the birthday and the day he died already. Like 6 hours after he died, there was dudes hustling Michael Jackson memorabilia that fast. I was like, oh my God. I saw dudes out that night with MJ stuff, like rest in peace MJ shit. I was like, damn, that was fast. They had to get that shit made. And so I think for our generation, I mean, every time, you know, this, when it comes around that the day Michael Jackson died, I always remember Nashville, Tennessee. It's always going to remind me of Nashville every time. Like next year's going to be a big one. That's going to be 10 years since he passed. That's going to be a big one. But I thought that was kind of a coincidence that Joe Jackson dies a day after Michael Jackson dies. Well, 9 years to the day that Michael Jackson died. Now, okay, two things I want to get. I don't know what I want to get into first because I think I'm going to get on a tangent on both. You got the LeBron and Boogie Cousins, and then you got Damon Dash and Lee Daniels, which was clap. I'm going to do Damon Dash. I'm going to save LeBron for the end because I'm probably going to go on that for a minute. But if you didn't see the video yet, please find it. Damon Dash hemmed up Lee Daniels. If you don't know who Lee Daniels is, Lee Daniels directed Precious, directed The Butler. He's the director of Empire, Stars on Fox. I mean, he's a talented director. But Damon Dash found out that Lee Daniels is going to be at the Diana Ross concert in L.A. So Damon Dash has his camera guy come, sits a little bit away so it's not being obvious. And then Damon Dash hemmed up Lee Daniels. You owe me $2 million. You know you owe me. I loaned it to you. You ain't answering my phone calls. You ignoring me. And Lee just sitting there going, I'm going to get you your money. You're right. I did you wrong. You're right. And come to find out what the story was. Now, you got Dame's side, you got Lee's side, and the truth is somewhere in between. But what I picked up after listening to Damon and what I picked up after listening to Lee do his interview is Damon Dash helped Lee Daniels fund Shadowboxer, which was a good movie but didn't make any money. And just look it up. He did this movie called Shadowboxer that didn't really get the heat that Lee wanted. And when Dame did it, what I think was Lee was like, I'm going to pay you back off the money I make off Shadowboxer. When Shadowboxer didn't make any money, Lee didn't have the capital to pay Damon back. But Damon had said, Lee had promised him, a piece of future projects until he paid him back, which, Lee's made, if he owes Damon $2 million, he's made that, 30 times over just off Empire alone. And with Precious and the acclaim that came from Precious, he was able to get The Butler and he got in good with Oprah. So Dame's like, dude, you haven't returned my calls. I wasn't even invited to the Precious premiere. You just completely ignore me. And Lee explained like, I didn't take Damon Dash's money and then made money off the money he gave me. Dame gave me money because he believed in this project Shadowboxer. And when Shadowboxer didn't make any money, I should have paid him back when I got it because he looked out for me in the beginning and I just never did. So I believe Damon Dash when he's like, Lee probably promised him other things because you can't just say, I always say you can't loan somebody. I mean, I've never heard anybody loaning that amount of loot. Jesus Christ. That's a lot of loot. $2 million. And then, I think Lee was probably like, yeah, I'm gonna give you money. And if it doesn't make any money, I'm gonna make sure whenever I do get it, I'll get it to you in some capacity. And if I can't get you the $2 million, I'm gonna make sure I get you in some other film projects or TV projects that I'm working on. And the fact that he just didn't call Dame or ignored him completely, it was interesting to see how Dame just confronted him and Lee. You could tell Lee's wheels were spinning in his brain because he wasn't answering Damon. And then he was like, he finally just said, oh, you know what? The best recourse right now is to say I was wrong because I was. But you could tell Lee was trying to come up with something because he was just shaking his head. Mm-hmm. Damon, I know I owe you your money. I'm going to get you your money. And Dave's a hothead, boy. I actually enjoyed the interaction. But now people were coming at me saying, Monique's right. We told you she's right. And everyone owes Monique apology. This has nothing to do with the Monique situation. For those of you that don't know that situation, Monique was going saying Lee Daniels ripped her off and promised her stuff. That's not how it works because Monique was hired for Precious. She agreed to do the movie for $50,000. And then the movie did well. And they wanted her to do press and Lee and here's Monique. She's like, oh, we got Oprah attached to this. We got Tyler Perry attached to this. We got Lee Daniels. She's seeing all these billionaires and you see how they're making all this money. And she's like, I want some of this, but you were just hired. No different than Gabrielle Sidibe was hired for Precious. And look what she did. Gabrielle, she's working on Empire. Lee's rehired her 10 times over. Everyone in Hollywood loves her. She's working. She's a working actress now completely. I'm sure she got SAG minimum for that movie, but she knew it leads to other roles and leads to more money. And Monique wanted the money now because she didn't want to go to Cannes and promote it. I never heard anybody saying no to Cannes Film Festival. You go there, like you're in. Like it's almost like what George Clooney said when he was at a Golden Globes award one time, and he made sure before he announced the winner of Best Actor, he goes, I just want everyone here to know you got the brass ring. You have it. You're here. Whether you win or lose, you've done it. I mean, you came out to Hollywood to chase your dream, and now you're living it. So this award doesn't devalue or give you more value. It's just you have the brass ring just being nominated and being here. You're going to work, and you're going to keep working as long as you pick the right projects and you deliver when they call you. When I say deliver, just know your line, show it to work on time, and be cordial to work with. Because there's people out there that aren't working because, you got a rumor that you're difficult to work with. If you're going to be difficult to work with, you got to deliver at the box office, and every time you got to take yourself to, like, you got to be like Daniel Day-Lewis or Joaquin Phoenix, something like that. Guys, Denzel, like, those guys can be difficult to work with. I'm not saying they are, but they can, because they know they're going to deliver when it comes to shooting a movie, and they're going to deliver at the box office also. So that's the difference between Monique and Dame Dash. Dame Dash loaned Lee Daniels money. So Lee Daniels owed him that money, whereas Monique was hired. She was paid the money that they hired her for. Just, you never know when you get lightning in a bottle, and Precious was lightning in a bottle. So that's a huge difference in the two right there, you know, because everybody's like, now, see, Monique was right. I go, nah. And then, you know, then she let out this secret recording of her and Tyler Perry. And even when I heard the recording, I was like, it sounded to me like Tyler was just trying to look out and try to lead her in the right direction and help her. And then she kept, I don't know, her and her husband just kept over talking them. And I think Tyler was like, yo, if someone like Tyler reaches out, that to me, that says he cares about you and he wants your career to flourish. If you don't, you're not going to call and reach out. So, you know, I don't like the whole secret recording of a phone call that just gets randomly leaked. It's almost like the sex tapes. You don't just randomly leak a sex tape. You see the camera in the room. You know you're fucking on film. Could get released. Same thing with this phone call that Monique had with Tyler. Everyone was talking about the phone call, and I was like, who? You secretly recorded somebody? Because you can doctor a phone call up to make it work for you. You can take out some shit and put in some shit. So I didn't like that part of it. So to me, that was the biggest difference between Dame Dash and Monique. Where Dame Dash loaned Lee Daniels $2 million, where Monique was paid. She got paid. She negotiated. Her agent or manager, they negotiated that money, and they agreed to do it. I've done independent movies where I didn't get paid shit, and the movie didn't do shit. So I was never in a position to be like, I needed more money. I would never do that either. It reminds me of when I saw that Dame loaned Lee $2 million. I think the most I've ever loaned anybody was I loaned this guy $4,100. And he was in tears, talking about he was going to get evicted from his home, and he had a couple kids and a wife, and the guy was like dang near on his knees crying. So I called my wife and I said, to this day I believed him. I believed he was going to get evicted. But when he asked for the money and I gave it to him as a loan, he said, I don't know when I can pay you back, but what I can do is build you a bomb ass website. He goes, I'll build you a website. And this guy was a tech dude. So he was like, I'll build a website. And he has a website out there right now. I'm not going to call him out, but a lot of people know who he is in the comedy world. So he said, I'll build you this website. I said, all right. I said, you know what? That's an even trade. I needed to upgrade my website and everything. The minute he got that money, man, the week after, I called him up. I want to give him a week or two just to get on his feet and pay his rent and everything. So I'm like, hey, what's up with the website, man? Let's get going on it, man. What do you need from me? So he starts sending me these templates. I don't build a website. And I've had websites done for me. I've never got template. When I say he sent me about 300 templates, hey, pick one of these templates and I can start with that. I go, what? I didn't know what the fuck a template was. I go, let's pick one, man. That's what you do. You build websites. And then he goes, no, I'm different, man. I like my shit professional. And I was like, okay. The writing was on the wall. I was like, oh, he don't really want to do it. And then slowly I would hear less and less from him, right? And then finally I just said, I started texting. I said, hey, man, it's clear you don't want to do the website. So just what kind of payment plan you want to do to pay me back? And then again, I didn't really hear from him for a while. Let's say it's probably a year after I loaned him money. I finally just sent him a text like, I guess you plan on never paying me back. And then he goes, he said, no, man, I put money in your account. Cause I just sent him my account. This motherfucker put $20 in my bank account. 20. So in a year, he put I said, so what are we on? Like a $6 a month payment plan for the 4,100? And then I started laughing. And keep in mind, I couldn't find the $20. I was like, he goes, you probably make a lot of deposits. I go, no, I don't make a ton of deposits. Here's how comedy works. I get paid every week from a comedy club. So I don't have to make a deposit every week. I might make a deposit. I probably make two deposits a month into my bank account. And they're pretty easy to track. They're from comedy clubs or they're from promoters. So I don't have like $20 deposits and $5 deposits and all that. I usually have 2 deposits a month that I put in my bank account. And so the fact that he said he put in $20, I would have noticed the $20 deposit in my account. And I never found it. I don't know where it was at. I give him another year. So this is 2 years later. I loaned the money in 2012. So now it's 2014. So then I said, hey, I guess you just like, fuck Gary. So he got mad at me because I was walking the red carpet for Ride Along, and his website / comedy thing, they do live interviews on the red carpet. They'll be at all the big comedy premieres. And the lady came on and goes, Gary, you can talk about the movie? I said, nah, how about you talk about your boss to pay me back? And she went, huh? I go, your boss owes me money. And I kept laughing, and I just kept walking on the red carpet. So he calls me. I'm like, man, how dare you embarrass me on the red carpet with my company, man? There's people that know me. I said, motherfucker, you owe me money. You mad at me? But you owe me money. Oh, okay. So then he said, man, I've been putting money in your account. I said, when? He said, man, I've been putting $20 in there for like the last 6 months. So I was like, so you put $120? I'll never forget. So you put $120 in my account, huh? I said, all right. I said, you show me the receipts. Send me the bank statements. You show me yours, and I'll look for mine because I don't see it. He said, all right. Then I don't hear from him for another week. Then he calls me back like, we just moved. So the statements was in the old house, like in the attic. Then I went, okay, all you have to do is call the bank and get a printed statement in an email. That's all you have to do. They'll send it to you. I ain't heard from him. So I ain't heard from him since. But I remember one time there's nothing worse than somebody loaning you money and they doing shit. They doing shit, like going out and shit. So he was somewhere, and I was on Twitter, and I said, hope you're enjoying yourself. You ever plan on paying me back? That motherfucker called me so fast. Hey, man, don't be saying that shit on social media, man. I got a business and shit. I said, well, are you ever going to try to pay me back? And let's stop with the lies. And I said, are you ever going to try to build a website? I said, you know what? I got a new web guy. Why don't you work with him? Let's make this easy since you probably don't have it. And I said, so why don't we make this easy? You work with my web guy together, and we'll call it even and just build my website. I said, it needs an upgrade. So he goes, all right. So my web guy, who's my web guy to this day, met with him. He goes, hey, man, that guy was kind of an asshole. And I go, huh? And so my web guy goes, the guy you have meet with, he's kind of an asshole. And I said, what do you mean he was an asshole? He goes, he just kept putting me down. Like I didn't know anything. So I called the dude up. I said, hey, man, why didn't you want to work on my web guy? He goes, he just don't know nothing, man. He don't know how to do nothing. I said, he knows how to pay his bills on time. I know he knows how to do that. Motherfucker got mad. I said, I don't know if he knows a lot about web design, but he knows how to pay his bills on time. He knows how to do that. That motherfucker was so pissed. He was so, so, a long story longer. I don't want to be like long story short is I've never gotten any money from that dude, and he's never built a website. And, but the one thing is, I do think he was getting evicted. I would be shocked if he was lying about that. Cause I was like, the way he was acting and on his knees damn near and crying, I was like, yeah. So basically I saved a couple kids from being homeless. So I'll take that L, but also take that W. And I think I figured out by human nature and people that I've talked to about when you loan people money, and you hear people joke about it all the time. How come when you loan somebody money, then you try to ask for money back, they act like you're a burden, like you the asshole for asking for your money back. What I think it is they're not mad they're asking for the money back. They're mad because they're fucked up. When somebody gets to the point, and this ain't $20. When somebody asks for $20, they might just be a little short that day or they forgot their wallet. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking when you're talking about when you get into thousands or even over 500, 600, whatever. When you start asking for your money back and they get mad at you, they're mad at themselves, but they're taking it out on you because now they're mad at you because they're fucked up. They ain't got their shit together. They can't pay their bills or have the lifestyle that they're telling people they're having because they done ask you for money for whatever reason. And I figured that out. So I was like, oh, they're not mad at you for asking for your money back. They're mad because they're fucked up. They're living a fraud basically. That's why people get mad. That's just my theory on things. They're mad at themselves, but they got to take it out on you because they're fucked up where other people don't. So that's just my simple theory on things. All right. Now let's get into LeBron and Boogie Cousins. You know what? Before I get into that, I'm going to go over my schedule in the middle of my podcast. This Saturday, I'm in Alexandria, Louisiana at the Riverfront Center. It's in the middle of fucking nowhere. Alexandria, Louisiana. I heard it's by Lafayette, Louisiana. I don't know. I know it's 3 hours from New Orleans. If people want a landmark, it's 3 hours from New Orleans. And then next week, July 13th to the 15th, I'm in Chicago at the Schaumburg Improv. And then the week after that, July 20th to the 22nd, I'm in Memphis, Tennessee at Chuckles Comedy Club. And then July 28th, I'm in Tucson, Arizona at a casino. I always tell people, just go to the website, GaryOwen.com. Always has my schedule on there. Enough about me. Let's get into NBA. Unless you've been living under a rock, LeBron signed with the Lakers. I think that's a shock to nobody. I do like how the Cavaliers this time thanked him for his service. And he was with the Cavs for 11 years, brought one title home, went to the NBA Finals 4 in a row, 5 times with the Cavs. I just think it shows you how messed up the Cavaliers organization is, that you can have arguably the greatest NBA player of all time, and he's left you twice. You didn't see Jordan leaving the Bulls. You didn't see Kobe leaving the Lakers. They knew. He's like, nah, we ain't letting that go. That's our guy. He's going to be here for life. And when it's all said and done, LeBron will go into the Hall of Fame as a Cleveland Cavalier. He'll have a statue in front of the arena. He'll always be a Cleveland Cavalier. But this is all you got to know. He was with the Cavs for 11 seasons, and he won 1 title. He was with the Heat for 4 seasons, and he won 2 titles. Who's got the better organization? The Heat. They made sure they had players around him that complemented LeBron's game. What I've noticed, the Lakers sign him, which is great for the Lakers, and then they go get Rajon Rondo, which I think is a great move, but they can't be done. They got to get some shooters. LeBron flourishes when he takes all the defense directed towards him, flows towards him, and then he can just dish it out to one of them gunners that can shoot a 3. That's why I always had like a Mike Miller and a Kyle Korver and a Ray Allen. That's when Mike was flourishing, man. That's when LeBron was flourishing. So I don't think the Lakers are done because they really don't have any shooters. I mean, Lonzo Ball can't shoot. Rondo's not known as a spot up shooter. They got JaVale McGee, which I think is a good move as far as a center. You don't need anybody that needs to be getting buckets like that. Just put back points. He's just another version of Tristan Thompson, is all he is. And if you want to go to the Heat always played small ball. They never had a big center when LeBron was there. So that was the big news. And just when you think, oh shit, Paul George re-signs with Oklahoma, put everything, in that right there, everybody got thrown for a loop. Then LeBron goes to the Lakers, like, oh shit, Kawhi still ain't gone nowhere. And then all of a sudden, DeMarcus Cousins signs with Golden State. I'm like, what the fuck? Well, here's the thing. DeMarcus isn't going to be healthy until probably January, where I say he's 100%. So it's for him to go to Golden State, you couldn't pick a better team or better scenario because they don't need him for one. They don't really need him to win. He can take his time getting back. He can get in for 5 minutes a game, then move up to 10 minutes. And by the playoffs, all DeMarcus has to do is stay healthy this year. Progress as the season progresses. He has to continually get better, his numbers. He can be averaging 2 points a game, then the next month 4 points, then 6 points. All he's got to do is get to the playoffs, ball out for 3 or 4 games where he's the leading scorer, or he goes for 20 and 10 or something like that. He gonna get a max deal, and he's in the perfect team and the perfect scenario for him to really ball out. And then maybe he goes to the Lakers next year. I don't know, because he just signed a 1-year deal, but he's got, as long as DeMarcus Cousins stays healthy this year and is productive, he don't even have to be the all-star level guy that he needed to be in Sacramento, New Orleans. He could just be whatever. He'll get a max deal as long as they know he's healthy. And then next year, the Lakers are all geared up for 2019, not 18. Because this year you're going to bring LeBron in. He's going to get acclimated to the team and who they got. And he's going to really, I guarantee he gets with management. It's like, okay, I like this dude. I like this dude. I like this dude. This dude got to go. This dude got to go. And then watch how that team becomes LeBron again. Watch how next year Klay Thompson is a free agent. Maybe he wants to get out of Steph Curry and Kevin Durant's shadow. Maybe he goes to L.A. Because I think Klay flourishes. Everybody needs a dynamic duo, but in my opinion, Klay is never the alpha male on a team. To me, he's always been I don't want to say sidekick, but he flourishes being the guy next to the guy, whether it's next to Durant or next to Curry. And I think even with Golden State, I think you always think Durant, Curry, Durant, and then Klay's the third guy. And then Draymond's the fourth. That's how I always looked at it. So Klay might want to go to LA next year. You couldn't pick. That is a perfect player to play with LeBron. Klay is spot up shooter, stay on the outside. LeBron take it to the hole, dish out, wide open three. I'm like, dude. And then who knows if Boogie Cousins can shoot the three. Geared up. And Kawhi already said, I'm going to LA. I don't know if it's going to be the Clippers or Lakers. My bet is the Lakers. Let's say the Lakers are all set up for 2019. I don't know about this year. This year, I mean, they'll be great because whoever LeBron's on is going to be a good or great team, but they're not going to be making no midseason trades like the Cavaliers. Whatever their roster is, opening day, 80, 90% of that roster will be there when the playoffs start. They're not doing that. I mean, you got Kuzma and Ball, and they got rid of Randall. But yeah, the Lakers are all set up for 2019. Where the Warriors, I don't know, I think everybody's saying the West has all the good players. The West is stacked. The East is terrible. Let me tell you something. The NBA Finals next year, and I'm calling it right now if you want to do it, it's going to be the Celtics and the Warriors, and nobody's going to be bitching and complaining because the Celtics are going to win 60 games. The Warriors are going to win 65, 70. So you're going to have the number one team in the East versus the number one team in the West, and it's going to be a competitive series. Trust. Kyrie stays healthy. Gordon Hayward comes back. And these young dudes in Boston just keep growing. That's going to be a good-ass NBA Finals, man. Watch. I'm not saying Boston's going to win, but they're not going to get swept next year. Well, Kyrie's the one dude that was giving it to Curry in 2016. Like, he was treating Curry like Curry treats other people. When Kyrie was healthy and everything started clicking and sinking, he was giving it to Steph. I mean, really giving it. So, everybody, the East will have Toronto, and Milwaukee might make a few moves to be competitive. But, if Boston's healthy, that's still a great NBA Finals that we don't know. I think by the time the season's played out, they're going to be like, whoa, these probably were the two best teams. Like I said, and the Lakers are geared up for 2019. And another interesting thing is how LeBron had stated that he would love to play with his son, Bronny. If his oldest son, if he made it to the NBA, because that'd be his dream. But look what LeBron did. Signed a 4-year deal with the Lakers. What happens in that 5th year? He could stay with the Lakers and become a free agent. And then that'd be about the time his son should be getting drafted in 5 years. If he's good enough to go to the NBA, he'll get drafted. And LeBron's in a position where I'm not under contract with anybody. I can just wait till my son gets drafted and then go to that team and play one last year with my son. That'd be crazy. Yeah, I mean, you've had baseball players. I remember Griffey and Griffey Jr. played together in Seattle. That was dope. But I don't think there's ever been an NBA father-son team playing at the same time. They've been coached, but not at the same time. And here's what's crazy, too, about the Lakers. LeBron is coming there to be the star player. Their coach was drafted the same year as LeBron. Luke Walton came in the league, was a second round pick. The same year LeBron was the first pick. I was like, now he's LeBron's coach. So basically LeBron is the player coach again, is what it's coming down to. Shout out to JJ Redick. Let me give white guys some love. Re-signed with the Sixers. Nobody caught, no, that didn't create any ruckus. But I thought Redick would have been perfect going to LA. That could have been like a poor man, not a poor man, but a little lesser than Mike Miller is JJ Redick. But you want to stay in Philly, so they must like it there. I think it's a good move that Braun didn't go to Philly. Everybody thought he might go to Philly, and I was like, I didn't see that at all. You got a guy that's geared up to be carrying his team, Ben Simmons, and you can't be having some guy like LeBron come in and taking the final shot at the end of the game. You want Ben Simmons to start taking them final shots and making those decisions. So I never saw LeBron in Philly at all. And it's just, I'm still mind boggled that Cleveland could let him go twice. And if that don't tell you your organization is fucked up, I don't know what else could. Cleveland's their ticket's gonna be on Groupon, and it's gonna be literally buy 3, get 1 free next year. It might be buy 1, get 3. I remember I went to a Cleveland game the first time LeBron left, like in 2010. Man, I was courtside. It was so empty. There was no energy in that arena. It was Kyrie's rookie year. I was like, this is terrible. I was bored. I went to the game, and I can't tell you one play. I was literally falling asleep. And as soon as LeBron came back, man, energy was back in that arena, boy. That was it. But when he was gone, woo. But if you look at their draft picks alone, some of the worst draft picks, that Anthony Bennett, I don't even know where he's at anymore. He was a number 1 pick. I mean, the year they took Andrew Wiggins, that's the same year Joe LMB got picked from the Sixers. I'm like, Joe Embiid, that's an LMB. I'm thinking of Khalid El-Amin from Connecticut. Joe Embiid got picked from the Sixers that same year. They say Kevin Love's going to stay. I know you guys are really excited about that. See how dead I got? All right. But listen, man, so Boogie Cousins, just remember this podcast when, you're talking 11 months from now. Remember I said it's going to be Golden State versus Boston. All this talk about the East is so weak and the West is so strong. Yeah, I think that for 1 through 8, the West is the better playoffs. But once you get to the finals, watch how competitive and exciting Boston versus Golden State is next year with a healthy DeMarcus even. Because I'm like, Boston with Gordon Hayward and Kyrie Irving and those young dudes and the coach. I think you got the best coach in the NBA in Boston too, Brad Stevens. And, Boston's going to win 60. Golden State's probably going to win 65, 70. And you're going to have the 2 best teams in the end in the NBA Finals. That's just how I see it. I think, in the West, you got Lakers, Houston, and then the Golden State's just so far above everybody else. They're top. They're starting 5 could probably be all-star teams. DeMarcus, Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and Steph and Kevin Durant. How the hell I miss Kevin Durant? Those 5, they could probably be past playoff NBA All-Star teams. Because those are 5 NBA All-Stars that Steph, Durant, and DeMarcus at certain points of their career were asked to carry their teams completely. So they're not just All-Stars, they're superstars. They're like the first tier guys. Because you got NBA guys, then you got 3rd tier, 2nd tier. They're the first tier guys. They're the endorsements, they're the game changers. And they're all on the same team. But I'm happy for DeMarcus, man. I've always helped out with his charity events in Sacramento, and he never wanted to leave Sacramento. He wanted to stay there. So it's nice to know he's back closer to Sacramento and the Bay, because a lot of times these NBA guys and NFL guys and stuff like that, they get all the bad press when they don't do good things. But that dude was doing really good things in the community of Sacramento. So the fact that he's close enough now, he can still drive over there and oversee his charities and the kids that he was helping. I think that's another reason why he was happy to go to Golden State, outside of being on a great team. But a lot of people don't think about that either. But man, cost of living's a bitch out there. Jesus Christ. When I hear about rookies getting signed by the Lakers or Clippers and they're getting like $700,000 league minimum, I'm like, okay, that's a 2-bedroom townhouse, man. Because you got a lawyer, you got an agent, then you got the IRS. Half that shit's gone. So don't have a lot of babies, mamas. Because I'd rather play for the Pacers at that point. Your money goes a lot farther in Indianapolis than it does in L.A. or San Francisco. I'll tell you that shit. People don't think about that, man. I think about that stuff. I mean, when you got guys making 50, 20 million, okay, you could pretty much have a great lifestyle wherever you live. But if you're a rookie and you're barely on the team and you're making league minimum, I mean, you're not living like people think you living. I mean, because there's a lot of hands out. State taxes. Oh, California state taxes a bitch. Gas, everything's just more expensive. I mean, you can save on winter coats, but that's about it. I'd rather, when I think of the NFL and I think of practice squad players, and I don't know how much they make now, but I know like 10 years ago, practice squad players were getting like $5,000 a week. So there's 17 weeks in the season. Do the math. That's $85,000 a year football season. And $85,000 goes a lot farther in Cincinnati and Cleveland than it does like in Seattle and San Francisco. I'll tell you that. So, I don't know, just things I think about. All right, y'all. Again, thank you, Timeless R Studio, for having me again. And we'll see y'all next week on the Gary Owen Get Some podcast. If you want to listen to my podcast, just go to iTunes, search Gary Owen, hashtag Get Some. Hey, y'all, you listen to the Gary Owen podcast. Hashtag Get Some. Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Gary Owen with the Get Some podcast. You can follow me on iTunes. Just search Gary Owen, hashtag Get Some, or you can go to my YouTube page, youtube.com/GaryOwenCom, and you can watch it visually because the last 4 weeks I've been lucky enough to use the studio, Timeless Recording Studio. You can follow them on social media at Timeless R Studio. So TIMELESSRSTUDIO. I hate it when people say things and they don't know, and they rattle off phone numbers or websites and they say them so fast you can't pick it up. That's the worst, especially when you're trying to get like concert tickets. You hear radio stations do that all the time. For free tickets, call 555-161612. And you're like, what the fuck? What did I just do? I missed out on the free tickets. So anyways, it's at Timeless R Studio. I'm going to get into my schedule first. This weekend, I'm in Chicago, Illinois at the Improv in Schaumburg, July 15th. No. I'm sorry. I'm a week ahead. July 13th to the 15th, I'm in Chicago. Now, it's a suburb of Chicago. It's called Schaumburg because whenever I post, I'm coming to Chicago. Oh, shit. I got the wrong dates completely. I'm at the Chicago Improv July 15th. No, I ain't. This ain't right. 15th to the 18th, that's Thursday. Yeah, it is. Shit, I got my own schedule fucked up in my head. July 15th to the 18th, that's when you travel too much because all the dates run together. I literally relive that Snickers commercial where the guy said, "Thank you, Detroit." And the guitarist goes, "Hey, man, we in Chicago tonight." And they was like, "Oh, not go anywhere for a while?" I literally just did that. So this weekend I'm in Chicago at the Improv, July 15th to the 18th. And it's a suburb called Schaumburg. Because whenever I say I'm coming to Chicago, people think I'm in the city. And I do perform in the city from time to time. But this weekend I'm in a suburb called Schaumburg. So it's funny how people in Chicago get all up in I don't know, like they really get upset when you try to claim Schaumburg as Chicago. But it technically is the same city because if you fly into the city, you fly into Chicago and you would drive to Schaumburg. And Schaumburg's literally 15 minutes from O'Hare. So it's Chicago. But people in Chicago, just make sure I don't get anybody pissed off. I'm at the Schaumburg Improv July 15th to the 18th. Next week, I'm in Memphis, Tennessee, July 20th through the 22nd at Chuckles Comedy Club. And then July 28th, I'm in Tucson, Arizona at the Desert Diamond Casino. And in between that, I'm going to be doing this cruise. It's called the, what is it? The FAS. I guess it's Family at Sea, something like that. Anyways, there's a bunch of black people and me on the boat. I mean, the whole ship is black people. Other than the staff, and maybe if, I think Anthony Hamilton's on it, if he's got some people in his band that are white, we it. I've done the Tom Joyner cruise before. I've done this cruise before. This one's a lot of their clientele are out of the West Coast. They've been, I think this is like their 30th year of doing this cruise. And they bring in different music acts, different comedians. This is my second time doing it. The first time I did it was 2012. And what I like about doing these cruises where I'm part of the entertainment, but I'm usually the only white guy on the boat is I got the pool to myself. Man, nobody's getting in there. Like girls will put their feet in, but nobody's in there. I'm doing the butterfly. I'm swimming, doing backstrokes, and nobody's bothering me because nobody gets in the pool. Last time I did this cruise, they had a water slide. And I will say the water slide was packed. It literally was like being at one of them water parks where they were just lined up. And it was the smallest water slide. And you had some of the people acting like it was like one of them roller coasters at Cedar Point or Kings Island. I mean, it was so small and it had one little turn, but people just lined up like it was some scary water slide. But yeah, I'm doing that. I actually fly into Ocho Rios. Well, I fly into Montego Bay, and I drive to Ocho Rios on July 23rd, and then I board the ship on the 24th. I'm only on the ship 3 days, 24th, 25th, and 26th. And what I like about these cruises is every night is a theme night. So the night I get on, the 24th, I read up. It's casual night, so you can wear whatever you want. Now, the 25th is traditional African attire night. I'm not sure what I can wear that night. I'm going to take the L on that and just wear some sweats or a t-shirt and shorts. Then the last night, the 26th, July 26th, which also happens to be my birthday, it is superhero night. So I can just imagine how many Black Panthers are going to be on that boat. If the boat holds 4,000 people and there's 3,995 black people and 5 white people, how many Wakanda superheroes am I going to see on that boat? I'm going to see everyone. I'm going to see Killmonger. I'm going to see T'Challa. I'm going to see all of them. All of them somebody's going to be the Forrest Whitaker character. Somebody's going to be the 98 grandmother character. I guarantee you, not going to be a lot of Supermans this year. It used to be like the Green Lantern was a big one, or the Incredible Hulk. But now, man, it's going to be like I'm in Wakanda on that boat. Nobody's going to have superpowers, though. None. That's 26th, and I get off on the 27th in the Bahamas, and then I fly up to Arizona. But I remember one time I did the cruise. I'm bringing my road manager, Brad, with me. Now, you hear me talk about Brad on my show a lot, and he's a good dude. He just, he's an Alabama country dude, so he moves a little slower, and his brain moves a little slower than most people. We was on the boat. I think it was on the Tom Joyner cruise, probably 2009. And Brad called me and asked me, did I have a microwave in my room? And I go, no, there's no microwaves in the rooms. There's no irons and microwaves on ships because you can't. It's a fire hazard. You can't have them in the room. And they call them cabins on these cruise ships. I said, Brad, nobody's got a microwave in the room. He goes, no, man, I got a microwave. It's not working. I go down to his room. This fool put popcorn in the safe and thought it was a microwave and was pressing the button saying the microwave didn't work. I said, man, Brad, that's a safe. That ain't no microwave. Oh, shit. I was wondering why the popcorn wasn't popping. So, I'll never forget, he put the dang popcorn in the safe and thought it was a microwave. So that's where I'm at the rest of July. Now, there's been a lot going on in the state of comedy with Kevin Hart and Mike Epps going back and forth. I'm going to get into that in a minute because I know when I get on that, I'm going to get on a tangent. But before that, big fight last weekend there was a big UFC fight. Daniel Cormier, I always mess up his name, and Stipe Miocic, and I might have messed up his name. But they had a UFC fight. Now Daniel is the light heavyweight champ in the UFC, and Stipe is the heavyweight champ. And Daniel Cormier knocked him out cold. And and then afterwards, so Daniel's got the belt and he's in the ring, and they're telling him how great he is, and it was a great knockout. It was a good fight up to that point. And then he calls out Brock Lesnar, who's from the WWE, that was the UFC champ, and then reality hit, and he was like, whoa, he got knocked out a few times. He went back to the WWE. Then he came back again to the UFC, and he fought once, and then he had a tainted urine sample, so he got drug tested, and then he went back to the WWE, and now he wants to get back in the UFC. So he runs in the ring right after Daniel knocks out Stipe, and all of a sudden this WWE moment happened in the UFC where Brock Lesnar comes in, pushes Daniel. Daniel pushes him back a little bit. They have words, and I heard a lot of people on my social media timeline saying, "Oh shit, this was all staged," and now the UFC's turning to WWE. And my response is always, "Look, man, I don't know if it was staged or not. All I know is it sold tickets." Immediately when Brock Lesnar came in the ring and pushed Daniel Cormier, I was like, it just became a pay-per-view event. Now everybody wants to see it. Very similar to Mayweather and McGregor. I mean, they went on like a 6-city tour through LA, New York, Toronto, London. I think they went down to Miami, Chicago, but it was all hype fest. And I think everybody knew that unless Floyd got caught, this wasn't even going to be a good fight. And it really wasn't a good fight. Like, Floyd knew what he was doing. I think he gave him a couple rounds, and then Floyd picked him apart. But the hype train behind it is what sold that fight. And look, Floyd retired, and McGregor hasn't fought since. It's hard to get motivated when you make $100 million in one night. And then I know it sounds crazy to the average person, but then to come back to the UFC and they offer you $10 million, it's hard to get motivated for that. That'd be like, as a comedian, it'd be like, it's the same. If somebody offers you an enormous amount of money and you're like, man, I don't have to work for a while. And then some promoter goes, hey, man, I'm at Smokey's Bar and Grill tonight. You want to come through for $45? You're like, no, I'm good. I'm going to sit this one out. And that's where McGregor's at right now. Like, I mean, I don't know if he's ever going to come back. He says he is, but I think he's just so unmotivated. He's got more money now than he's ever had, not to mention the endorsements he got leading up to the fight and after the fight. And now with Brock Lesnar and Daniel Cormier about to create this huge mega fight, it's going to be the same deal. There's going to be endorsements involved, and whoever wins will get more endorsements. And give it to Brock Lesnar. He knows how to sell a fight. That dude knows how to sell a fight. When he came in the ring and pushed Daniel and then said all the other fighters tonight was shit, I was like, he just sold it. Like, I'm going to watch it now, regardless of, do I think Brock's going to get destroyed? I think Daniel, even though he's a lot smaller, I just think he's a better wrestler and his striking's better. Like, I really think he's going to destroy Brock Lesnar, but Brock Lesnar's got that puncher's chance the same way Conor McGregor did against Mayweather. You always got a shot, especially when you're dealing with big dudes like that. Ain't nothing like big heavyweights fighting. I mean, the middleweights are cool, but when the heavyweights get in there, there's nothing like that. So that was pretty much all the sports that happened. I mean, you had Carmelo still out there. Nobody knows where he's going in basketball. I don't know if anybody wants him at this point. I think Houston screwed themselves when Chris Paul signed that max deal, because he basically they can't afford any big free agents now. Where, you saw what Durant did last year. He took less money so they could keep Andre Iguodala. And now DeMarcus Cousins, now he signed with the Warriors. And I don't know, unless Carmelo goes to Golden State, I don't think he changes the balance of power at all, whether it's the Lakers, the Heat, the Houston, or Philly. I don't think it makes that big of a difference at this point. Carmelo's a great player. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame, but he's definitely on the downside of his career. So, I mean, he's a name. Don't get it twisted, but to me, he reminds me of like Jerry Rice when he went to the Raiders. Like, Jerry Rice was good. He was still really good, but he wasn't Jerry Rice from the 49ers. Same now with Carmelo. He's still a really good player, but he's not the Carmelo that you're gonna build a team around. I mean, he's a complimentary player right now. Last weekend, I was in Alexandria, Louisiana. I had never been there before, but thank you to everybody who came out, because we had a couple thousand people in a town that I didn't know had a couple thousand people. And then I found out the guy that brought me to Alexandria was a first-time promoter, and he has a mobile barbecue business. And this is how he made all his money. And I didn't get it. I was like, barbecue business? And his name was like Uncle Willie's Authentic Barbecue. And I was wondering why there were so many banners when I got to this theater of this Uncle Willie's Barbecue. I mean, it was everywhere. You would have thought Uncle Willie's Barbecue, that was his restaurant. And then somebody had told me, like, nah, this dude has been here for years, and he's made his money with a mobile food truck. Not even a restaurant, a mobile food truck that but he supposedly has the best barbecue, and I didn't believe it. And then that motherfucker gave me some wings. I ain't ever had wings like this in my life. It wasn't the breaded shit that you get at Kentucky Fried Chicken or any of these mom and pop spots. That shit was smoked some kind of way. There was no breaded shit on it. I don't know what Uncle Willie put on that shit, but thank you. I said, let me just try one. It was like 18 later, and they was the big wings that had like the leg and the wing attached. Because sometimes you just have the leg and the wing. This shit was attached, like some pterodactyl shit. Man, I stayed in Baton Rouge. That was the most disgusting drive from Alexandria to Baton Rouge. It's about a 2-hour drive. It was disgusting. There was so much gristle and bones and just slobber, and I had no napkins, so I'm just licking my fingers. And then my road manager, Brad, got tired, so I had to drive the other half of the way home. I'm apologizing now to Enterprise Rent-A-Car because we returned that car in shit shape, and there was so much grease on the steering wheel. So my apologies to Enterprise in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. But God damn, Uncle Willie, if you get if for whatever reason you ever end up in Alexandria, Louisiana, look up that place. Man, them wings are good. Fuck. And I had just left New Orleans the night before. I was in New Orleans Friday, and we were staying in Baton Rouge. And it was my friend Brad's my road manager. His birthday was Friday, July 6th. So we get to the hotel. There's not much to do in Baton Rouge. It literally looked like an episode of The Walking Dead. Like there was no movement in the city. And somebody said, "Yo, Essence is in New Orleans." I said, "Duh, I forgot." So Essence is only 80 miles from New Orleans. Excuse me. So we just got in the car and drove down there, and we just wanted to go to a casino, honestly, and gamble a little bit for his birthday. And we ended up going into Essence, and it was funny. So I told Brad when we got there, I said, I've never been here during Essence. And I said, I've heard it's really crowded. And it was crowded, but it wasn't what I had thought. I thought it was going to be like, bumper to bumper traffic, people, just chaos in the streets. We never went to Bourbon. I wanted no part of that. We stayed downtown New Orleans, but we kind of walked around the outskirts of Bourbon. But it was funny because as soon as I got out of the car, I was crossing the street to go to Harris Casino, and this lady sees me, and she was like, and you can't keep in mind, if you've never been to Essence, it's literally 95% black that weekend. I mean, you barely see any white people anywhere in the city. And I'm crossing the street, so I stick out, and half the people think I'm Tommy from Power, and the other half know me as Gary. So I knew from afar people couldn't tell who I was. And then I realized I'm wearing black. I got a black t-shirt and black jeans on. So I really look like Tommy now. So I don't know when people are yelling, if they're yelling for me or Tommy. And then come to find out Joseph Sikora is in the city. So people knew he was there also. And so I'm crossing the street, and this lady goes, "Oh, that's him. That's him." And then says, "Let me get a picture." Keep in mind, I'm in the middle of the street, and I'm crossing away from her. So she wanted me to come back across the street to take a picture with her. So I kind of gave her a little wave, but I kept it moving. All I heard her was say, "Anybody want a picture with your ass anyways?" It's like, okay, I don't know where that aggression came from. I was just crossing the street. And then I don't know if she expected me to come back across the street to take a picture with her, but I'm thinking you should have crossed the street to come to me. And it was hot as shit in New Orleans. So I'm already a sweater. So my back's already starting to beat up in the back by my spine. So I can feel it. So I got to get in some AC because there's nothing worse than showing up to a spot and you're already a sweaty mess. Nobody really wants to be around you then. So anyways, I didn't get the picture, but I said something about it on my Instagram, and I thought it was funny how people was like, "Man, you should have went back and taken a picture with that lady." I said, there's a few things here. Excuse me. One, I don't even know if she knew it was me. And two, I'm thinking she should have came to me. I shouldn't have had to cross back over the street. Jesus Christ. Excuse me. Wrong pipe. I shouldn't have to cross back the street to get a picture with her. Because I think sometimes fans get it confused when I'm polite to everybody. I think I am. I think I'm cordial to everybody. But, I mean, there's a way to approach people, too. I had one guy one time just told me to come here. He was like, "Hey, Gary Owen, man, come here." I was like, I'm not your fucking kid. But the way he said it was, and then he got mad because I didn't come back to him. And I'm like, dude, that was like the rudest thing you could say. "Hey, man, come here." I'm like, how about, "Hey, Gary, can you hold on a second?" Or, "Hey, Gary, can I ask you something?" Or anything. Just ask. But when you tell me to do something, that's the worst. Like, especially when I'm getting a picture with somebody and they tell me I fucked up their picture by the way I smiled, or I didn't smile right, or I made a goofy face. "You fucked up my picture." I'm like, okay, I only got one face. What do you want me to do with it? I can't help that. So just I always tell people, I think one of the coolest interactions I've had with a fan was a 14-year-old kid one time. I was in Columbus, Ohio, some mall, and I was like at a Foot Locker or Champ Sports, and I'm literally just looking at shoes. And this 14-year-old kid came right next to me and never like made eye contact. He just stood next to me. He goes, "What's up, Gary?" And he said it so low. I just looked at him and I go, what's up? And all of a sudden I turned into him. Like I went down to his level as far as like my voice. I was like, what's up? He was nothing, man. And then he just asked me about the shoes I was looking at. Pretty soon we're in a whole conversation about Jordans. And then at the very end of the conversation, which probably lasted 3 or 4 minutes, he said, hey man, you mind if I get a picture real quick? I said, yeah, man, mother, I wanted a picture with him at that point. Like I was a fan of his. And then his mom came over and got the picture and she was cool. And I was just like, it was just the strangest thing. And that was probably 15 years ago. So that 14-year-old kid's now a grown man. But just the way he approached me was so subtle and low key, like smooth. I was like, oh man, he's going to get a lot of girls when he gets older if he takes that approach. Because he just came in, hey, what's up, Gary? And then, what's up, man? Then we just had a nice 3-4 minute conversation in the middle of the mall. But like I said, it was all about his approach. He just came in smooth and got out smooth and got a picture. All right, I want to get into this Kevin Hart, Mike Epps beef. I don't know, in the world of comedy, I mean, it's not huge news, but it's news. Like, it's been known for a while that Mike Epps has been very vocal of how he doesn't think Kevin Hart's funny. And then about a year ago, they met up, and everybody said they squashed it, and they met. And then most recently, like a couple days ago, Epps made a post with him and Eddie Murphy because they're shooting the Dolomite movie for Netflix right now. And then somebody said, a fan who basically baited Epps kind of was like, yo, you guys are way funnier than Kevin Hart. He ain't funny. And then Mike said, everybody's funnier than Kevin Hart. Then Kev somehow saw it. He wasn't tagged in it. Then Kev writes a thesis to Mike about I might not be. Basically, Kevin was like, you know, I don't know why this hate comes from you. I'm a fan of yours, but my ticket sales say something different. Blah, blah, blah. And then Mike came back, blah, 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 with his retort. And basically, Mike said, look, you a good dude. I don't think you're a bad person. I just don't think you funny. And then he claimed Kev was crying out being a victim. And it wasn't a big deal, but, you know, I've been asked about it, you know, because I had a fake beef with Michael Blackson earlier this year, but that was all fake. I mean, me and Mike was texting each other, telling each other what to say. It was very much like wrestling, where I think Kevin and Mike's thing is real. And it's crazy because now people can say Mike Epps is a hater. They're like, oh, he's hating on Kev. Or is he just being honest with his opinion? Does that make him a hater because he doesn't think Kev's funny? Because I know there's people that don't think I'm funny. I know there's comedians out there that I don't think's funny. Now, I'll never knock anybody's hustle, but I know there's comedians I've seen. I was like, I don't get it, but that's not for me to say that they're not funny. They're just not funny to me. You know, Kat said certain people wasn't funny in the past. Some people say Kat isn't funny. So I don't think Mike's necessarily a hater for voicing his opinion. And that's the thing. I think I like Kevin a lot, but I think sometimes he's a little too sensitive when it comes to these things because he's got too much going on to worry about the negative stuff. And it's easy on social media. You want to get a response out of a comedian, an athlete, or an actor, say something negative about them, and they'll respond quick. Now, if you say something positive, they won't say anything back. They might get a thank you every now and then, but 9 times out of 10, you won't say anything. And I'm guilty of it too. I have to temper myself a lot on social media because when people come at you, your initial response is to respond, but then you realize, oh, wait a minute, this guy's probably just an internet troll. He's probably just trying to get a reaction. You know, I got terrible comments when me and my wife did the N-word sketch towards Michael Blackson. You know, people call my wife a bedwench. I didn't even know what that was. I had to look it up. And then blah, blah, blah. And I'm a closet white supremacist. I get that all the time. You a closet white supremacist. I was like, that doesn't make any sense at all. Well, I mean, I said, yeah. I responded to one guy last week when he said that to me. I said, yeah, how dare I say black people are cool and black women are beautiful? Yeah, that's terrible. I said, yeah, I'm just a negative person in general. You know, but I think the thing with Mike and Kevin, I think the root of it is they all comedians. I say we come in this business in fraternities. Where like when you go to high school, when you go to college, you gauge your high school years off those 4 years, and everybody that comes before you or after you, you might say, yeah, that guy went to my high school, but you're not emotionally attached like you are with the years you went to school. So when if somebody gets famous out of your high school, now if you went to high school with them, you feel you feel more of a connection with that person than somebody that just is famous from your high school. Like if Barack Obama went to your high school, but you wasn't there when Barack was there, you're just like, yeah, that's cool. The president went to my high school, but I really have no emotional attachment to that dude. Now, if somebody, let's say like, I don't know, if LeBron James, you went to high school with LeBron James and you was there when LeBron was there, that's a whole different ballgame. Now you got stories about LeBron and you're like, yeah, and we had math class together and lunch and he was like this and, he liked Chico sticks and Snickers before games. Like you have an insight into him. Where with Mike and Kevin, I think we're all part of this fraternity that came to LA in the late 90s, early 2000s. And with comedians, it's always like, I wouldn't say it's like a 4-year run like high school and college. It's more like an 8-year run. So I say anybody from like 98 to about 2005 or 6, I would say more like 6 years, like 2004. I'd always consider that like, that's my frat. Those are my guys that I started in LA with. Those are the guys that we were living on other people's couches. We were doing open mics together. You see the same people because when you get to LA and you got LA and New York is really where the comedy scenes are that people were about to pop. And you see them every night. 5 nights a week, you're running the same people. And some people get their breaks early. Some people get them later. So I say for me, like 98, I got my first break. I got the job on Comic View and I got the movie Held Up with Jamie Foxx. So those two happened back to back. That was a summer 98. And then, goddamn, it was 20 years ago. That's crazy. And so Kev, I remember I got a call from Kevin like in 2000, maybe 99 or 2000. I got a call. I was in Caroline's in New York. And this guy named, I know it's crazy. This guy's name's Dolphin. He does these shows called Big Dog Productions, but his biological name is Dolphin. And he called me and said, hey, we got this little guy out of Philly. He's doing big things locally in Philadelphia, but he wants to go up when you're in New York. So I got on the phone with Kevin. I didn't know who Kevin was, and I was like, "Yeah, man, come through." And Kev came up, and we hung out that weekend. So that had to be 99 or 2000, and that's the first time I met Kevin. And then like the next year, he was out in L.A. and all of a sudden he was doing his thing, making a name for himself, but open micing. Now I met Mike. First time I met Mike, and he might not remember this, was in San Diego. Def Jam came in 98. 98 Def Jam came to San Diego, and I was still back and forth. I was living in San Diego, but I was getting ready to move to LA. And the Def Comedy Jam tour came there, and Mike was on a tour, and I remember Samore was hosting it, and that's where I met Mike. And then 2 years later, he got Next Friday. And then I remember my agent said, yo, this guy Epps, he's going to be a player. Because he killed this movie, and the movie's, as far as like Black Hood classic, you want to call it. I mean, all the Friday franchises, all of them, Friday for Next Friday, they're all classics. So Mike got that, and then after that, Mike took off. So Mike, Kev took off. It's hard to put your actual finger on it because Soul Plane was good, and it got his name out there. He was the lead in the movie, and but then he did a lot of smaller things, and then Kev didn't really like burst until like 2009, 2010 is when he started selling tickets and started taking off. And I'm not sure it was what it was. I think Kev just kept peppering people. So now you got Epps, who probably the top dog for a while. And then Cat comes in about 2006. Cat came in moving tickets and everything. And Kev comes in 3-4 years later. So all those guys were from the same era I'm from, like late 90s to about 2004. All those guys was in LA open mic. And I remember Cat was Cat in the Hat. He didn't have a front tooth. I mean, he came out there and I was like, what? Is that guy missing a tooth? First time I saw him on stage, he literally like this tooth was just gone. And then if you look at the Christmas Friday movie that's where Cat got his break. He doesn't have a tooth in that movie. Like most of his lines, you don't see his top teeth. He's like doing most of his line like this. But then he got his teeth fixed, so now he's good. But I think with Mike, maybe it's a thing of you just didn't see it coming with Kev, or and he's voiced it. He doesn't think Kevin is funny, which I don't think that really makes him a hater. I just think that's his honest opinion. Now, I don't think Mike needs to voice it like he does every chance he gets, but that's not for me to say. I like Mike. I like Kev. I've worked with both of them. I've done 3 movies with Kevin. I've done 2 movies with Epps. And for those two, I won't say a bad word about either of them, because I always look at it like this. When we do Think Like a Man and we do Ride Along, when Kev's out there promoting the movie and pumping it, and he's pumping himself, but he's also pumping the movie, it just draws more eyeballs and more ticket sales to the movie. And then when they come see it, I'm in the movie. So it draws more eyeballs to me. So I'm like, yeah, Kev, get out there and promote. Keep doing your thing, man. I'll be right here waiting. I'm just waving. And then with Mike, we did Meet the Blacks, which is on Netflix. And then we just finished another one, Meet the Blacks 2, which is, it's a complete different movie than the first one. It's a hybrid of it, but it's called The House Next Door. Now, Cat Williams and Mike Epps are both in that one, and that comes out on Halloween. So I've done 2 movies with Mike, 3 with Kevin. But for me, I think the 2 things that did the most for me in my career was, 3 things. One, obviously, was Comic View when I first got on there, because it got my face out there, and I went from a struggling comic to a headlining comic, where I did 2010. I did this taping called Live from the Nokia, and it was Mike Epps was the host, and I had opened for Mike in Houston the week before, and then Mike called, or his reps called my reps, and they said, "Hey, Mike's doing this Showtime special next week in LA. Can Gary do it?" And I didn't make any money doing that. I didn't get paid anything. They didn't fly me in. They didn't put me up. But I was just like, I knew it was a good opportunity to get my face out there. And I knew I had a hot 20 minutes because Tiger Woods just got in trouble. I had the black church joke that had never been on TV before. So I knew I had a hot 20. So I was like, that's all I got to do is do 20 minutes. So when that got released, and not necessarily the day it got released, which was in the fall of 2010, it was more of when it got on Netflix and then it got in Blockbuster and Target, then people started saying, it almost like reintroduced me to people. Like, I knew Gary was funny, but I didn't know he was that funny. And then obviously there's a new crop of fans, because you figure I got one break in 98, then another one in 2010. That's a 12-year difference. So you got people that were in kindergarten that are now in 12th grade. You got people that were in 5th grade that are now adults that are like, oh shit. And then YouTube has taken off in that time frame. So now everything you do is on YouTube. So that black church joke, I bet you there's 100 different downloads of that or bootlegs of that on the internet, on YouTube. And my agent will sometimes call and be like, you want us to, report it? I go, nope. I don't do the joke anymore. Just let it ride. Whoever wants to post it, they can post it. And then obviously in 2011, I got Think Like a Man. And then 2012, it got released. And then 14 came out Ride Along, and the next Think Like a Man. So, I mean, for Kev and Mike, I got love for both of them because they've both helped my career tremendously just working with them. They're not the ones that hired me, but just the fact that I got to work with them, I mean, it just helped. And I think Kev gets a lot of hate because, he's the top dog right now. When you're the top dog, you get hate from people. I'm TK Kirkland's talked about him. Ari Spears has talked about him. Now Epps has talked about him. I don't know where it comes from. I don't know if I don't want to say it's jealousy. I just think when you go in these radio interviews and they ask you your opinion, and I think when they say, who don't you think is funny, or why do you think this guy took off? Kev's easy because he's going to draw traffic. If you say, Hamburglar or Shucky Ducky or TP Hearn, nobody's going to pick up on that. None of these other websites are going to pick up and be like, so-and-so said this about Shucky Ducky, or so-and-so said this about TP Hearns. You talk shit about Kevin Hart, all of a sudden Comedy Hype, Media Takeout, Boss Up, World Star, all of them might pick it up. So I think that's why his name comes out of comics' mouths more than anybody else. And then if Kevin responds, now there's a beef. And when Kev responds, he's got 60 million followers on Instagram. So now you're going to draw traffic to yourself. So it's almost like I think a lot of comics know what they're doing when they try to come at Kevin, because they know. And I would never do that because I'm always like, I want to work with everybody. And if I don't think somebody's funny, I'll just keep it to myself. I mean, there's a lot of comics that, for me, I don't get it. I don't think they're funny at all, but I would never voice it because as soon as you say, oh, this person isn't funny, all of a sudden you don't know that phone call's coming the next week. Like so-and-so wants to work with you. You're like, oh shit. I didn't know that. There's so many people out there that you don't know. They know who you are. I mean, just last week when I was at Essence, I run into the lady that is directing Chicago on Showtime. I just told her, I said, yo, I love the show, and she was like, oh, I'm a big fan of yours. I'm like, I didn't know she knew who I was. I had no clue. I've gotten phone call like Jamie Foxx called out of left field. That's how I got the movie with him. I didn't know Jamie knew who I was, but he was in the audience one night. I was on stage and then he saw me on Comic View and he called me over to his house and we met. So that's what I'm saying. I would never. Now, can you imagine if I would have talked some crazy shit about Jamie? I would have never been invited to his house or I would have never worked with him. So I always say, I don't know. I mean, it's different when you're like Epps or Kevin or Kat because you're at a point where you don't need anybody. You're like, if I don't work with him, I don't give a shit. With me, I'm more like, why burn a bridge when I think everybody can win and everybody can eat? Because what you like to see is, another Harlem Nights out there where all the comics came together and they worked. Pryor and Murphy and Robin Harris and Red Fox. I mean, that'd be so dope. That's kind of what they're doing with Dolomite right now, minus Kevin, because you got, I don't know if people heard, but Dolomite is a comic from the 70s. He was like the blaxploitation films. He was that dude, him and Pam Grier, who was the girl and he was the guy. But, they got Eddie Murphy in it and Mike Epps and Craig Robinson and Keenan, was it Jordan Peele? So Keenan from Keenan Peele, he's in it. It just, I mean, every time I'm on social media, they'll have another picture from set, and I'm like, damn, this person's in it. This person's in it. There's so many comics in that movie, which is smart. Hire comics to play comedians. I mean, it makes sense to me. So you would like to see that happen again. With I mean, you just imagine like Kev, Epps, and Kat come together and do a movie. I mean, it'd be dope. It was dope with this one we got coming out, The House Next Door with me, Kat. It was me, Kat, Epps, Michael Blackson's in it. I mean, here's another guy. It's a perfect example. Michael Blackson, who had a beef with Kevin, and he said what he said about Kevin because he knew it was going to generate traffic. He knew when Kevin got in trouble in Vegas, Mike knew if I say some shit about Kevin, everybody's going to pick up on it. And it's going to draw traffic to me. And even when me and Mike had our beef, he texted me. He goes, America loves a good beef. And we do. We eat it up. So, I mean, there's a method to the madness. Like, I don't think anything Mike did was personal. Where I think Epps, that's really his opinion on Kevin, which is a huge difference. I was thinking, Mike's created his own lane, though. Like, I respect Mike a lot because we did the Shaq tour in 2011. And Mike got bumped up on the lineup because the promoter thought his energy was too low compared to the comics going before him. And man, he said, no, I'm the African dude and I'm going to milk this. And look at the last BET Awards. Black Panther comes out. Jamie does a sketch with Mike acting like he's some reject from Wakanda. And I was like, he said, no, I'm going to be this dude. So whenever this role comes up, I'm going to be the first person they think of. And you got to respect his hustle like that. Like he's created a lane that nobody else had. I don't know anybody else that was the African king of comedy or the African of comedy in the United States. And he comes out with the dashiki. If you ever see Mike live and he's got the African music, I mean, he just plays it up, and I always thought I've kind of created my own lane because, it wasn't like when I started doing stand-up, I was like, I'm going to just go after this huge black audience. It was the only place I could get on stage was black comedy clubs and black comedy nights. And a lot of white comics didn't want to do that. They didn't want to go to the quote-unquote hood or the black rooms. And I was like, I just want to make people laugh. I don't care where it was at. So then you become a regular at these rooms. So then you don't have to beg and plead to get on stage. You can just be like, hey, you can call the owner of the club or the host for that night and be like, hey, man, I'm in town. Can I get 5 minutes tonight? Yeah, Gary, come on down. It just made it easier. So that's why I end up doing a lot of black rooms in the beginning. And I think I don't like talking about myself like that, but, I've also created my own lane that I don't think anybody else has gone that route as far as being the white guy that is really, really famous with black audiences. And some people said that's somewhat hurt me in some aspects because a lot of times I don't think you can put me in a box. Like a lot of times if you never see me live, you don't realize it's just funny. You're like, well, I don't really know what to do with Gary because he's a white dude and he acts white, but he's got a lot. Black people really like him. And I think with Netflix and Comedy Central and HBO, that's why I haven't got specials on there because the people that are in charge aren't comedians. So they're like, we don't really know what to do with them. And when you don't know what to do with something, it's not that you're afraid of it. You're just like, you're up in arms. Like, I don't know where to put this guy. I don't know how to market this. Where instead of just saying, hey, this is a funny dude, let's put him on the network and let's see if people watch. And the one network that's done that is Showtime. And I've got a great relationship with them. Thank God for them. But I've heard people hating on me before. There was a guy named Joe DeRosa. I hate saying his name to give him any shine, but people are going to have to look him up. But he's a white dude, and he went on somebody's podcast. And like I said, as soon as you say something bad about somebody, it's going to get back to him. Trust. And social media age, I mean, people were like DMing me on Instagram and Twitter saying, man, this motherfucker hating on you. He's coming at you. There's a difference between Epps saying, I don't think Kevin Hart's funny. And then this guy, he was saying, they asked him, who don't you like out there? And he said, oh, this guy, Gary Owen. He goes, he's a white dude, and he does, like, black jokes. He goes, but it's offensive, man. He thinks he knows black people, but he doesn't. Like, it's offensive. And I was like, offensive? I mean, that. And then he said he ran into me one time, and I was rude to him. And I don't remember meeting this dude, and if I was rude to him, I apologize. I don't know where we met or how we met. But then my bored ass is, I look him up and come to find out he's trying to be like a hip hop DJ on the side and all this other shit. And I go, oh, now it makes sense because why he doesn't like me is because, I can do the black rooms and he can't. And with him being a quote unquote hip hop head, he probably wants love from black people that he's not getting, that all of a sudden I'm getting. And I'm like, now it made sense when I saw that. I go, oh, he likes hip hop. He wants to be a DJ, blah, blah, blah. I said, oh, now it makes sense. Because I think sometimes if I get any bad feedback from white comics, I think where it comes from is they just don't know why do black people like this dude? And why can he do the black rooms? Why? And they can't. And that would piss people off. Like, oh, why can they do that and he can't? Like, there's a Spanish comic out there, Gabriel Iglesias, and he's fucking huge, man. Like I've known Gabe for 20 years. I remember, God, me and Gabe worked together like in 98, like when I first started in San Diego. I actually got a flyer from 2004 that I posted on Instagram a couple years ago, and I'll repost it. I'll see if we can find it and repost it. But it was a flyer, San Diego, 4th and B, 2004. Me and Gabriel Iglesias, Kevin Hart, and Felipe Esparza was the show. And I was a headliner. It was me and Gabe was like co-headlining. Like our pitches was big. And what it was I called Gabe up. I said, Gabe, man, let's just do our own show in San Diego. There's this place called 4th and B, I'll never forget it, held 1,492 seats, which was, to me, that was like Christopher Columbus. So I saw that. I'll never forget that number. I said, Gabe, I think we can sell that many tickets, the two of us together. Because, he started in San Diego. I started in San Diego. So we both had like the local, what we thought was fan base. So we went in thinking we would do 2 shows. We ended up selling out 1 show, and we didn't want to risk doing another show and having 30 people there. So we sold out 1 show. So I told Gabe, and Gabe told me, we told each other, we just said, hey, Gabe said, I'm going to bring somebody, and you bring somebody. And then that'll be the openers. I said, cool. So I called Kevin, and Kev was the guy I picked to open up for me. And Gabriel called Felipe Esparza, who ended up winning Last Comic Standing and is a nationally touring headlining comic, now also doing great for himself as his. Now, Gabriel sells just as many tickets as Kev right now. and a lot of people probably listen to my podcast doesn't know that. I mean, Gabe's killing it, but this is where I get a little jealous of Gabe. His shows are all ages. He's mastered the art of being a stand-up without cursing and making it almost fun. Now, when you watch it, it's not going to hit you like watching Bernie Mac or Richard Pryor or Eddie Murphy because it's not raw. It's like fun. It's almost like Saturday morning cartoons because Gabe does these voices and these characters that his fans love. So when you see it, it doesn't hit you like that. But then when you see the audience and you see the numbers and the volume of tickets that he's selling, you're like, how do you knock that hustle? You know what I mean? I mean, he's mastered that art where I don't even want to do that. I couldn't. I couldn't do it. Like, I know me. There's no way I could continually go on the road year after year and do shows like that. Now, if you asked me to do it one time, I could come up with 60 minutes, and it would take me a while. That was funny for all ages. But you got to realize a lot of times those jokes that hit are the ones with the dirty punchline that audience doesn't see coming. So with an audience like Gabriel Iglesias, I would probably never get that boom laughter because I don't know if I could write a joke that could hit that hard, that's clean for all ages, that kids would laugh and parents would laugh at. But Gabriel, I'm talking about T-shirts. He's got bobbleheads. He's got everything. I mean, the guy sells it's a fucking mall in the lobby at his shows. I mean, he's got like lollipops and popsicles and cotton candy and T-shirts and shoes and socks and hoodies and all this shit. I mean, the guy just making money hand over fist. And I love Gabe, but he's mastered a segment of comedy that I can do. And I don't want to say I'm jealous of him, but I don't want to do that either. I just don't want to go that route. But I mean, Gabe's he's killing it right now. I love seeing his success, but I'm sure he's got his detractors too in the Spanish community. I'm sure there's Spanish comics out there like hating on Gabe, probably saying he's not that funny. But Gabe's response and just like Kev's response is probably going to be, well, I'm selling the most tickets right now. And I learned that early in stand-up. It don't matter how funny you are, it's how many asses can you put in the seats. If you can put asses in the seats, comedy clubs will book you. Promoters will work with you, even if you're difficult to work with, because they know they're going to make some money at the end of the day. Ask any promoter out there, would you rather book a nice comic that ain't going to sell no tickets, but you're going to leave there going, that's a really nice guy? Or do you want to deal with a fucking headache one night? Like the guy's just demanding and a nightmare to work with and complaining and bitching and getting yelled at. But then the next day, you get a big ass check because the dude sold a lot of tickets. I guarantee every promoter in this country is going to be like, give me that motherfucking headache. I'll deal with that for one night. I ain't got to deal with them again. And then I'll just collect this money with everybody else. So anyways, I hope Mike and Kev can put it aside, but I don't think it ever be put aside. Mike has stated, I don't think Kevin's funny numerous times. And that's really how he feels. And I don't know how you can apologize for your opinion. And if I'm Kevin, if I give him any advice, I'd be like, just don't worry about it. Ignore it. You got too much other shit going on to worry about another comic's opinion. I mean, there's comics talk shit about me. I don't care. Like this Joe DeRosa guy, I've brought his name up 3 times in my podcast. I still work with him if you want to work with me. But if you don't think I'm funny, that's fine. That's fine. But other people do. So I don't know. We get mad. I think people in general, we get mad when people voice their honest opinion. We say, what do you really think about me? And then when they tell you, you get mad at them for giving their opinion. I don't know how you can be mad at someone's opinion. There's comics that I don't think is funny out there. Never say it on the air. Never. Even when I was working with Steve Harvey earlier this year on the talk show, Steve asked Cedric. He said, who don't you think's funny out there? And even Sid, who's the nicest guy in the world, was like, man, Steve. And Steve goes, nah, man, you got to answer it. You agreed to answer it when you came on the show. And then Sid said Amy Schumer. He said, I don't think she's funny. Now, he never said anything bad about Amy. He never said she doesn't deserve the money she's getting. He didn't say, her fans are wrong for thinking she's funny. He just basically was like, I personally don't think she's funny. And how you be mad at that? That's his opinion. But you didn't see Amy coming after Sid for his opinion. That's the same thing. Kev, just let it go, man. You got too much shit going on in the world. God damn, you about to do Jumanji 2. I mean, rack it up. Jesus Christ. That right there. Worry about The Rock. You and Rock have your fun banner. Rock puts down Kevin like every week on Instagram. Kev, don't get mad at that. Just look at Epps like that. Act like Epps is a little malnourished Rock. It's just, I don't know. There's just too much other shit going on in the world to worry about one person's opinion. Even though, has Kev and Mike ever did a movie together? Yeah, they did. They did one with Nick Cannon. It was called Summer School or something like that. Some school movie. I saw it. I'll just leave it at that. If you want my opinion on that movie, I mean, I don't know if it's bad or good. It just They definitely did that as a favor. I'll tell you that. Because that movie had the who's who of stand-ups. There was a lot of favors getting called in on that one. But I'm not knocking it. The movie got made, and I had to go audition for that goddamn movie. Yeah, Nick, what the fuck? I mean, I went in. It was one of the cops, and I remember what I went to the audition, and it was clear the casting agent didn't know who I was, and I'm thinking, how the fuck is every cop? Lil Duval was in it, Kev was in it, Epps was in it, Lunell was in it. I was like, I didn't give a good audition because I thought it was beneath me, and I know I shouldn't feel that way, but I remember thinking, why the fuck am I auditioning for this movie? I should be offered this movie at this point. And I went and did the audition, but it was bad because I knew the casting agent didn't know me. So when I went in, I was like, oh, this is one of them. I'm bad at that. I don't call people enough. I should have just called Nick, or I should have just called him, but I don't know. I don't like calling like my quote unquote comedian celebrity friends because I feel like, I don't want them to think, oh, here I am calling for another favor. So and then when I don't get it and it goes by, they'll be like, why didn't you call me? I'm like, fuck, I should have. My fault. Because I think one time I asked to be in a movie, just straight up asked, and it didn't happen. I felt like, oh shit. Ride Along 2. I thought it was obvious Crazy Cody should have been in the second Ride Along. Because if you think about the first Ride Along, you got a guy whose character was poker buddies with Ice Cube, and Ice Cube asked him to take his clothes off and act like a crazy man in a grocery store and pour honey on himself and then crack a bottle open, put it up to Kevin's throat, act like he was going to kill him, all because his buddy asked him to? You don't think that motherfucker would be in the second Ride Along? You don't think that motherfucker would have showed up in Miami just to do a favor for Mike, a.k.a. Ice Cube? I was like, so I go into Will Packer, and I said, Will, man, I said, look, man, I knew you guys are getting ready to start Ride Along 2. I think Crazy Cody should be in it. And I told him the same spiel. I was like, yo, you don't think that dude would show up in Miami? For whatever reason. I wasn't like I wanted to be like the lead. I was like, that dude should be in the movie for one scene. Because as a stand-up and knowing people the way I do, I know if Crazy Cody shows up in Ride Along 2 just for a scene, that's a point in the movie where the whole audience is going to go, oh, shit. Like, the whole theater has been like, there he is again. I knew it. Sometimes it's mind-boggling that the writers and studios don't see that. And I was just like, oh. So I asked Will, I go into his office, I asked him, and Will goes, I'm gonna look at the script. I think there's a club scene in Miami that we might be able to throw something in there. I said, all right, just let me know. I should have followed up. I should have just stayed on him, but I didn't. I let it go, and when the movie came about, and didn't make as much money as the first. So, that's little hate coming my way. Sorry, guys, but I just thought that shit was obvious. Like that character should have had another scene in the second Ride Along. That's just my opinion. And granted, I'm so glad I got to be in the first one, but honestly, seeing how the reaction was from the first one, because when Think Like a Man came out and Ride Along came out, they came out, about a year and a half apart. I got stopped just as much for Ride Along as I did for Think Like a Man. And I was only in Ride Along for 2 scenes. Where Think Like a Man, I was in it pretty much the whole movie. But the scene just stuck out. Very similar to Chris Rock and when he said, let me just get one rib. And was it the Hollywood Shuffle? That movie. Chris Rock had one scene, but it was such a great scene. Everybody remembers it. Similar to Viola Davis in the movie Doubt. She got nominated for an Oscar for Best Supporting Actress. She was in one scene, but it was such a dynamite scene, and it was an arc in the movie where everything changed after she did her scene. So it's like they always say it's not the size of the role, it's what you do with the role. And I thought Crazy Cody was, that part. If you ask anybody that saw Ride Along, they remember that scene. They remember that scene. You could say other scenes, be like, I don't remember that. I don't remember that. They remember that one. That's why I thought that character should have been the second one. And honestly, I don't think Crazy Cody should have been in Ride Along 2 very much. He should have just been in one scene again, like come in, do something crazy for Michael, or that's Ice Cube's character name, do something for Ice Cube in a movie, and then he's out. Something just ridiculous that you wouldn't think. Be like, damn, this motherfucker came to Miami? That's a hell of a poker buddy. So that's all. Anyways, Kevin, Mike, just squash it. It's not worth it. Again, Chicago, aka Schaumburg. I'll be there this weekend. Memphis, Tennessee, July 20th through the 22nd. Tucson, Arizona, Desert Diamond Casino, July 28th. And I appreciate you guys watching the podcast because the YouTube numbers are going through the roof. So I appreciate Timeless Recording Studio for letting me record here. And I appreciate Real Hip Hop being all around me. Boom. All right. I'll see you guys next week. This is Gary Owen with the Get Some Podcast. If you want to listen to my podcast, just go to iTunes, search Gary Owen, hashtag Get Some.